Okay, so first, Trump actually did the one thing that he and the Republicans cared about, the only thing they care about, which is tax cuts for the rich. So that was 100% mission accomplished. The rest was just, rhetoric. It's like, oh, I'm going to build a wall. They barely even tried until the end, right? So we all know he's a giant liar. We all agree to that, right, et cetera. But the Republicans reveal themselves. What's the major thing that Ronald Reagan did? Giant tax cuts. What's the major thing that George W. Bush did? Giant tax cuts. What's the major thing that Trump did? Giant tax cuts, right? So they pass the things they want to pass. And every time, oh golly gee, there was nothing Democrats could do, right? And when they come back in, so here's a great example, Stephen. So Trump and the Republicans butcher the tax rates, and they take corporate taxes from 35% to 21%, okay? Then Biden comes in and goes, I'm gonna raise those back up to 28%. And I was like, wait, hold on, they were at 35. What do you mean back up to 28? So, okay, already you agree with the tax cuts for the rich and for corporations. Then Manchin says, no, not 28, 25. And Biden instantly goes, okay, fine, 25. And then they drop it, and it's still at 21. So A, he never fought for it. B, he never wanted to increase them back to where they were. That's a fact, there's no disputing that. And then C, he just didn't even try and loves them where they are. I say he loves them, and you can say, hey, no, I disagree with you, Cenk. Biden doesn't love that. He's just a pathetic ooze of weakness, and he just can't fight back on any of this stuff. And so now that brings us to the point that you made about, well, wait a minute, LBJ had big majorities. Did he? He had big majorities of Democrats. But remember, a giant portion of those Democrats were Dixiecrats. And we didn't just rely on the Supreme Court to pass legislation, to pass things that we agree with, policies, right? And it's kind of funny to say the Supreme Court is passing it, but that was the only functioning body we had left, because in my opinion, the donors bought everything else, and that they love the status quo. They ground everything to a halt except tax cuts for the rich. And so, but no, Lyndon Johnson passed the Voting Rights Act, and he passed the Civil Rights Act, and he passed them through Congress, and he passed them despite the fact that a giant percentage of his party were Dixiecrats who ran on segregation, on being racist, and it cost them their careers. But he actually fought. He fought like hell for it. And so did FDR. FDR said, I welcome their hatred, and I'm gonna defeat the Republicans' lust for greed. These are super strong words, and he would use words like that all the time, which leads me to my other point, which is, how do you think they got those giant majorities? Remember, FDR took over from a Republican. It's not like it was already a big Democratic majority for him. No, he took over and built a giant Democratic majority by fighting for us, by getting results like Social Security and so many of the other things that he did after the Depression. And one thing now, back to the current day, you mentioned one thing I want to talk about. You strawmanned a little bit, and maybe you're not strawmanning for other people, but for me, I don't come in and go, oh my God, I want a single payer overnight. No, in fact, if you remember the Jimmy Dore clowns did the force the vote in the beginning, and they're like, we're gonna force the Nancy Pelosi speaker vote thing so we can get a vote on Medicare for all. I'm like, guys, you're not gonna win that. You have no alternative to Nancy Pelosi, and there's no chance Medicare for all passes. So why don't you do something that's actually winnable, use your leverage and power to ask for something we actually can win on, like for example, $15 minimum wage, because they already promised it 8 ways to Sunday. They said they were definitely gonna do it. So then you use all of your leverage and power to get the things that you can get done, because then you could build from there, right? So we didn't ask for the moon in the sky. We asked for very reasonable things that corporate Democrats said that they were in favor of. But instead, we didn't even get the bare minimum. Voting rights was supposed to be the bare minimum. And honestly, Stephen, that one shocked me. My bar, as you can tell, for establishment Democrats is very, very low. I have almost no expectations of them. But I thought they would do half the voting rights bill. The anti-corruption stuff written by Larry Lessig, godfather of campaign finance reform movement. I remember talking to Larry about it, and I said, brother, I love you, but there's no way in the world they're gonna pass anti-corruption stuff. It's not just the Republicans, the Democrats are just as corrupt when it comes to taking campaign money. So that part has no hope. The gerrymandering thing would be brilliant, but I think very little hope, because the Democrats are also complicit in that. But the other half, they needed for their own victories. They needed black people to be able to vote so Democrats could win. But Biden wouldn't even do that. No, and Stephen, they betray themselves. Last thing here, because there is one time they lifted the filibuster. They say, oh, the filibuster is immutable. The parliamentarian rules us. Does she? I didn't know we were in a parliamentarian system or a parliament system. But no, they didn't give a damn about the parliamentarian. They did lift the filibuster once to raise the debt ceiling in the first 2 years. So when it affected the stock market, all of a sudden the filibuster is irrelevant. When it came to voting rights for African Americans, oh, no, nothing we could do. Filibuster, the Democrats' best friend.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.